officially. Okay, everybody. So welcome to the webinar, the third webinar in going radically virtual in your business. So we've done this 2 other times. We'll do it as long as people are interested. I actually have another one scheduled for May 1st. I've been thinking already what we're going to be doing on that one. Just a second. I'm going to go to my spotlight video so I can see myself. Okay. And okay, good. So in the first webinar, we talked about ramping up your communication during the coronavirus, being out there more, sharing what's going on with you, sharing your insights about how your clients might be affected by the coronavirus, offering support, ideas, insights, service, being of service. We talked a lot about that. And I encourage people to be in touch with people more and have more one-on-one conversations by phone and by Zoom. And a lot of people took me up on that and really started to reach out, and which really is something that makes a lot of sense. In the second webinar, we talked about how to generate new ideas bouncing off your conversations. You know, I talked about a model called the connect, develop, reconnect, redevelop. And, you know, I'm going to ask you a little bit about that in a second, but, you know, when you talk to people, you generate ideas, but if you don't do anything with those ideas, it's kind of like, so what? So what I've been discovering and meeting with my clients and prospective clients and people in my network, every time I have a conversation, it's like, oh yeah, there's an idea I could apply, and I write it down. And so I've written a lot more articles. I started a new email newsletter. I've been doing the webinars. I've been doing a lot of stuff, writing a lot of stuff. I put together my new program, which I just started last week. So, you know, it's really been energizing, starting with the talking and then putting these ideas into action. And I really want to encourage you to do that. So is there someone that would like to share that action they took on that from what we talked about last week? Anybody do anything in that arena? If not, that's why we're having the session today, to really get you into action. Anyone want to share? Anyone not want to share but will anyway?
I'd love to share, Robert.
There's somebody.
Marcia. This is Marcia.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcia.
What I've done based on our conversation and a few other conversations is I created a YouTube channel, and I've been doing videos and loading up videos to teach people how to get organized. So I'm loading up 7 videos in the last 2 days. I'm so excited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's what I've done to keep in touch.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to online content, videos, articles, whatever we put up, it can be a little overwhelming because we see people with channels with 200 videos and 1 million views, and it's like, oh my God. But it's like planting a tree. You know, you do something, you do anything, sooner or later, it helps. It makes a connection. You can show your potential clients to those videos. You don't have to worry about huge volume to begin with.
So Robert,
So someone asked, what is your YouTube channel? So they would go to what?
Marcia Sims.
M-A-R-S-H-A Sims.
Mm-hmm. S-I-M-S, 1 M. So.
Right. Okay, great. Check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, she helps people get their space organized. People that are organizational basket cases, she gets them back into order. Okay, Tex wanted to share something?
yeah, just like Marsha, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm a member of a group called Local First, which is all local merchants. And so I'm going to be interviewing some of these local merchants to let others know how they are going to open up their businesses again as the state begins to open up, and how to build trust among their business people.
Right. Are you in Sedona?
No, but that is from Sedona. I've been there several times. Have you been there?
We have a timeshare into Sedona, so I've been there many times.
Wonderful place.
One of the most beautiful places in the world. If you like hiking, man, it's the best hiking trails ever. Every minute there's a beautiful scene everywhere you go. It's fantastic. anyway, that's great. So yeah, even if you don't have an online business and you have, you know, local merchants, you know, doing things virtually and getting ramped up and doing a YouTube channel, why not? This is the time to do that kind of thing. So
Robert,
fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking, Sandy here.
Hi.
I'm looking into doing a radio show on transformational talk radio.
All right.
Wow.
Good
That'd
idea.
be fun.
Yeah, we got to stop hiding. You know, the thing about self-employed professionals is often where we do it ourselves. We don't like a boss. We don't want to be a boss. We just do our things, you know, and you know, to get out there is often scary for us semi-introverted or very introverted self-employed professionals. So, you know, on a radio, they don't get to see your face. You just get to talk. What perfect for you, right?
Yeah, that'd be terrific. So,
Okay, good. So good luck with that.
thank you.
Okay, so
Robert, can I
what was that?
throw a thought out there? This
Oh,
is Larry. Can I
Yeah,
throw a
go
thought
ahead,
out there?
Larry. You'll be the last one before we get going. Go ahead.
One of the things that has attracted my interest is this concept of quality and doing good. I noticed an article in the New York Times about how to use Zoom to maximize your presence in a large group. And I thought it was fascinating. It's just another aspect of self-improvement. I have more time to do that now, and I always want to learn new things. So one of the things that I have been doing is practicing with Zoom and learning how to do things better. And one of the things that I wanted to share is that your virtual background, which I love, the problem with it is that there's a thing right in the middle of it. So when you put it up, your face is exactly over it and you can't really see it.
I know.
So it's more distracting
Yeah.
than it is, you know, we lose the beauty of it. So going online and practicing and finding friends and colleagues that you can practice with to master your Zoom skills
Yeah, good idea.
is investing in yourself.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, you know, there's all this new technology sometimes overwhelms us. But Zoom is pretty damn simple in so many ways. Thank goodness, you know. It also has some downsides. Apparently there's security issues and they're trying to cover some of those things. But I can't promise that China is not listening into me or the Trump administration. So, you know, just watch what you say during the conversation here. Shan wants to share something.
Sean, yeah. It's all right. It's got the circumflex isn't there. So how would you know? Anyway, yes. Yeah, I'd just like to say I did try. Okay, the coronavirus thing for me is about that it's much more than it seems, which I think a lot of people believe, and that there are a lot of opportunities after it's over, and that it's a really good idea to start thinking about the sort of world we want to create now. After it's over, rather than waiting until it's over, and to intend and to visualize and all that sort of thing. I also believe that at this time of it happening, it's really important that we maintain autonomy and sovereignty, and that we don't become victims to fear. And I'm trying to find a way of putting that forward. I posted this, more or less what I said, in a group that I'm in, and I had hardly any response. And obviously, I understand that's just one group, obviously. But I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, is what I'm thinking here really that far out? I mean, to me, it's like the norm. And I got like about 2 or 3 likes or something in a big, big group. And I thought, oh my goodness. And whilst I don't depend on others for approval, I still approve of what I do. Nevertheless, you know, I need to couch that message in a different way.
Well, perhaps you do, but you know what I think the most important thing is your personal conviction about that message. And, you know, turn that message into something, write an article about it, put it on Medium or LinkedIn. And, you know, if you go to medium.com, which is a marketplace for articles, and put in business and coronavirus or business and marketing, you're going to find hundreds of articles, or dozens anyway. And put in post-pandemic, you're going to find a lot of people talking about this stuff and writing about this stuff. A lot of people are thinking about it. I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm having conversations about this with my clients. You know, even though business is slow for most people, being in touch, being in communication, being in service now is going to serve you well when the pandemic ends, whenever that is, when things start to shift, right? So I would give a big thumbs up to that. I think it's important. And, you know, I think that, you know, this world is a marketplace for ideas, and not everyone is going to be on board with everybody else.
No, of course
Some
not.
people think we should just open up the country now and it's all going to be okay in 2 weeks. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. So
no, nor here either. No, absolutely
anyway,
not.
thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Those comments.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my spotlight here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about generating creative ideas in this time. Now, I think, you know, generating creative ideas is an important thing for everybody. As a self-employed professional, we have to be creative. And if there's one thing I know, is we are not creative enough. We could be more creative. But we're in an unprecedented situation right now, right? And we don't have the perfect answer. And we don't, you know, there's no particular guru has the perfect answer of what we should do right now. Not me, not anybody. Although some people are saying this is exactly what you should do right now. You know, and I, you know, obviously I'm promoting that you should be more in touch with people and communicate with more people and generate ideas, but that's very broad, of course. But we want to figure out creative ideas of specific things that we can do in our business right now. But let me pose this question to you. What is holding us back from generating creative ideas? Just think of that for a second. I mean, if we could just always create new creative ideas and come up with great ideas, that'd be great. That's like, oh, there's a good idea for a service, or here's a way to connect with my marketplace, or here's something to put on my website, or here's an article I could put together, or, you know, from the YouTube channel to a radio thing or whatever. All of those are creative ideas. But, you know, in my experience in working with thousands of clients over the years, the number one thing that prevents us from swinging out and doing creative things is fear of some sort. Fear of being rejected, fear of looking bad, fear of doing something stupid, fear of not doing it right, you know, fear of being judged in some way or another, right? So, see, we want to come up with the right answers, don't we? We want it to be the right answer that everybody likes. Just like Sean, she was sort of like, you know, I put this out and I didn't get any feedback, and, you know, is it even valid? And if it's not, we feel kind of, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not going with the flow of whatever is there. I'm not trending. You know, I'm posting all this stuff on Twitter, but no one seems to be noticing. And so it's easy to step back and just say, well, I'll just be a viewer. I'll just be someone that's just, but not really participating actively. And when we do that, and when that's our mindset, the creativity dries up, and we stop coming up with new answers and possibilities and new creations. So everyone's heard of Linus Pauling. I would assume he's a pretty famous person. He's notable for a lot of things. You know, his all his stuff about vitamin C. He was a big anti-war protester. But he's also the only person in the world who won 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different things. One was for chemistry, and one was the Peace Prize. You know, and so he said something about ideas, and this is a quote from him: "The way to get good ideas is to get lots of ideas and throw away the bad ones." So if you're creating a lot of ideas that you have will be bad ideas. That's just the way it goes. But you know, we don't want to go through the pain of coming up with bad ideas, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to possibly do a bad idea. But if you are not absolutely willing to come up with bad ideas, you won't come up with good ideas either, or you'll just come up with average, ordinary, mediocre ideas that everyone else has thought of and everyone's doing anyway. And then, yes, I'm on board with that good idea, wherever it came, blah, blah, blah. And it all becomes very vanilla. And I tell you, mediocre ideas do not win Nobel Prizes, to say the least. So in generating ideas, we're constrained by our beliefs of what is good, what is bad, what's useful, what's useless. And we don't want to have a bad idea and look foolish, right? So one solution to this is completely obvious, but it's also completely counterintuitive, completely. It is not something that you will wake up in the morning and say, oh yes, I'll do that. It never happens, ever, ever, ever. That's why you're here. So, and that is to start generating ideas with a lot of bad ideas intentionally. Not trying to get to good ideas and having bad ones, literally generating bad ideas. Now, who does that? Hardly anybody does that. But generating bad ideas, it's interesting. What happens is when you generate a lot of bad ideas, good ideas tend to pop up automatically to sort of in counterbalance to those bad ideas. And we're going to actually do an exercise. I'm going to show you how this is possible. So to start generating ideas, you first need to have a problem to solve. Something that's important to you right now, okay? So obviously you don't need ideas if you don't have a problem, if you don't have something you want to achieve, something you want to fix, something you want to make better, something you want to make work better, etc. So, and a problem that everyone is having right now, everyone in this group, everyone that's experienced coronavirus, everyone in business right now, is how to generate new business during and after the pandemic. How are we going to do that? That is a problem. That's a challenge. And we got to generate some new ideas, but we're going to start with bad ideas first. So there are a lot of ideas out there, lots of them. So something I've noticed is that we're more likely to act on ideas if they are our ideas. You ever notice that? Now, those on the call who are married know this. Dear spouse, here's a better way to do that. Why don't you mind your own business, you know? We don't want someone else to tell us what to do. Now, in my position as a marketing coach and talking to people, I often say, can I suggest something? And because they're paying me money, you know, those are the people that you can often share ideas with. But, you know, I really love ideas when I'm pulling stuff out of people instead of saying, oh, this is what you should do. Because when I pull it out of them, maybe it was a nascent idea that they've been thinking of for some time, but they're not so sure it's a good one. And they run it past me and I ask a few questions. And then all of a sudden the idea becomes more real and pow, they run with it and make something happen. Because it was really ultimately their idea. That's when I see the most success with my clients. So, so we're gonna start with generating some ideas. So you have to have a piece of paper for this. So grab a piece of paper, pull it out of your copier or printer or whatever, a notebook, whatever you have. A Post-it is okay. You can do this on several Post-its, you know, anything you have.
Robert, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Again.
Go ahead.
One thing I've found about this pandemic, it is a time really when we can generate ideas, and it's almost like time stands still. So it's a chance to incubate ideas and so on. And also the idea of writing a journal around these ideas. Write them down, because as
Yeah.
you write them down, you have to crystallize in your own mind. But there's something else I wanted to mention about creativity. And you're saying, well, somebody can come up with a crazy idea, but sometimes that's a catalyst.
Yes.
And there's a word a lot of people don't know. It's called PO, which stands for provocative operation. Instead of saying, hey, that's a great idea, you know, and if we did this, it would be even better. The word is PO, and then you go on with that improved idea. So PO is a word that can be used in a creative environment.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And it's, as I say, it's a catalyst. It's like a catalyst. Somebody says something that's almost good, but not quite right, or it could be improved. You just say, PO, we could do this.
Well, we're going to come up with ideas that are so atrociously bad that we can't help but bounce back into something that's completely the opposite. So everybody has a piece of paper now. Okay. So please mute yourself if you're not muted. Actually, let me just handle that. I'm going to unmute everybody and mute everybody. Okay. And so we're going to have 5 questions. We're going to do them one at a time. Okay. So what is something you can do right now to drive away your clients forever? See, that would be a bad idea, right? But I'll bet you can think of something that you could do right now in your business that would drive your clients away forever. We're going to go through all these questions, 5 questions, then we're going to come back and you're going to share and we're going to talk about them, and we're going to see what great ideas come out of this, okay? So something you can do right now to drive your clients away forever, okay? Number 2 is write down an absolutely absurd and silly thing you could do to get the attention of your clients. Absurd, ridiculous, silly thing that you could do to get the attention of your clients. I'm not going to even suggest anything right now. Just use your own imagination. Think of the most absurd, silly thing you could do to get the attention of your clients. It's hard to repress myself and not share the ideas in my head. This is your exercise. Okay, number 3. Write down a completely unethical thing you could do to convert a prospect into a client. Completely unethical. And you'll be really, really unethical about it. Not sort of, kind of, I mean really unethical. The kind of thing, if you saw somebody do, you'd go, oh my God, you are such a bad person. I just started watching the Netflix series, The Good Place. It's all about, you know, ethics and being a good person and living a good life. And the heroine is a very bad, unethical person. Very funny stuff. Okay, that's 3. Write down a completely unethical thing you could do to convert a prospect into a client. Okay, number 4. Write down a thing you could do that would be completely ignored by prospective clients. It would be so boring, so uninteresting, so prosaic, so like everybody else, that they would ignore it immediately and never think of it again. Something that would be completely ignored by your prospective clients. Okay. So 5, write down something you could do to get clients that you would be arrested for. This is beyond unethical. If you did this, you would be arrested by the police and put in jail. You know, around the time of coronavirus, I can think of some things. I had a dream about this morning. You know, really, someone was doing something completely, absolutely unethical in the time of coronavirus. That's what was my dream. Okay, something you could be arrested for. So I think you'll all agree if you did any of these things, they would be very bad things, not helpful things in your business. But when we turn them around, you'll see some really creative, helpful things. So, okay, so I'm going to have some of you share these.
Can I just clarify for a sec, Robert, please?
Yes.
Are all these to be assumed that we're doing this in the time of coronavirus?
More or less, yes.
All right, thanks.
Yes, right now. But, you know, this exercise would be just as good anytime, just to create creative ideas. So, you know, as I say, I talk to people about, you know, you might remember about a year ago, I was doing a lot of emails about how to do humorous emails and how to write humorously. And I worked with some clients on that. And I discovered it was the hardest thing in the world to get them to think humorously and write something humorously. It was extraordinarily hard. That just tapping into that creativity was literally rocket science for most people. It's like they'd write me this long email that had not one humorous point, even slightly, boring as dry toast, and say, "What do you think, Robert?" And it was very dispiriting, very, very bad. But it's not too hard for people to think up bad ideas. I mean, I'm sure you all came up with 5 things. Hopefully you did. Okay, so who would like to share okay, so I see Shell's hand up. So you can, let's just start with the first one. So the first one was something you do right now to drive away your clients forever. Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I took that one and I said to act crass and callous about the coronavirus.
To act
crass and callous.
Crass and callous about the coronavirus.
My favorite one for these.
Dear clients, I hope you catch the coronavirus. That would probably do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of the various 5, I had the most fun with the unethical one because we just had an amazing example of it the other day when Donald Trump put his name on all the stimulus checks, and why people aren't screaming, "Hey, this is using the government to campaign for you." It blows my mind as somebody who writes about business ethics and has for almost 20 years.
Yes, so not a good idea to endear people to him, except some people will get the check and instead of cashing it because they've got his signature, they'll frame it, right? And that will save the country billions of dollars. So maybe it was a good idea after all. Just saying. Someone else actually shared that idea with me today. So let's take your bad idea of being crass and callous about the coronavirus and flip that around to what would be a great, just the opposite of that. What would
Well,
you?
I'll tell you what I did in my own business. I've had I'm mostly a marketing and profitability guy, but I have had a sideline of resumes going back to the 1980s.
Okay.
And so I took my While You Wait in-person resume service, upgraded my Zoom account to the paid account, and upgraded a scheduler from I forget what I was using before, but it wasn't working, to Calendly. So for roughly $25 a month on my end, I can now do virtual While You Wait resumes anywhere from anywhere in the world. And I'm pitching it as like there are 20 million people out of work right now because of the coronavirus. And I've also thrown in some other things. I used to charge $50 for a resume critique and apply that to the cost of a resume. And now I'm just saying, take the critique, I'm not charging for it. And also, if somebody has lost their job because of the virus, I have added 1 free cover letter included with the resume.
Okay, very good. So that's a thing of offering an extra service in hard times. Here's a possibility. Here's something that you could do. Okay, good. So who would like to share one? And by the way, let's share any one on your list, maybe the best one or the funniest one or the craziest one on your list. Let's just hear a number of them. Just, stick up your hand or just shout it out. Go ahead, Sean.
Number 3, completely unethical thing to convert a prospect. Just kind of be really overtly and over the top sexual with somebody and kind of wear a short skirt and a, you know, blouse really open and kind of really kind of try and seduce.
Right, that would probably be unethical. You know, and you know, you sort of lower the
I've
camera.
tried that and it
You
doesn't
lower
work.
the
The
camera
skirt
down
just
here,
doesn't fit.
right, like that, right? Okay,
Depends what
so
you're selling.
yeah, depends on what you're selling. Yes, if you're a phone sex person, that might just be perfect, right? So, okay, so turn that around to something completely appropriate you could do right now.
Just be
That they'd really appreciate.
totally myself rather than watering myself down, including my sexuality, if you like. But I mean, that's just that being just a part of me, not being a sort of, not trying to be, not that I am, but I'm prim or, you know, very, very businesslike, including my full self as much as I can in the transaction or in the conversation.
Right.
But I think I do tend to try to be a particular way when I'm talking to people about my business, and I'm not the whole of myself.
Right. So we might call that being your authentic self, or being your natural
Absolutely.
self. Yeah.
Sounds pretty obvious, but
Who
you know,
would
yeah.
prefer that the people that they consult with be natural and authentic? Put your hands up just to show that we're on board here. Of course they would. Right. I mean, this is not a time to put on airs and show that you're some know-it-all, for God's sake, you know. Foibles and all, people appreciate that. Okay, let's hear another one.
I have one, Robert.
That's my
One second, lady. So I heard a male voice first. Who was
That
it?
was Tex.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Tex. Tex Bryant. So something that you might get arrested for.
Yeah.
Go to their house in the morning, knock on the door, and walk in uninvited.
Yes. And breathe on them heavily.
Yes.
And touch them. Yes, that could get you arrested.
Cough on them.
I have a crazy idea as well. To call them up and say your mom died and you need money to bury her.
Yes. Yeah, we've heard that in movies, you know. Gee, my grandmother is sick. Didn't she die last year? That kind of thing. Okay, great. Let's hear another one or two. A few.
I have
Hey,
one.
oh, wait a sec. 1 second. I got to get him in the right order. Ladies, she had her hand up, and then Katie.
Okay.
Go ahead, lady.
sorry, Nancy. The unethical thing would be to let all the world know all about my authors and what they're writing about and what their stories are before they've published their books. Would totally wreck everything.
Being a total gossip about your clients.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, so what could you do the opposite of that would be a creative move for you?
I think it's assuring them that things are confidential until the book's published, of course. But it's still finding creative ways with their permission to talk about parts of their book that are little tasters and for predicting and encouraging their readership once their books are published.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Very good. Okay, I think Katie is next.
Well, the thing that would drive my almost all my clients away would be for me to get publicly on Facebook and make a video saying how I support Trump.
Do you support Trump?
No.
You do, but yeah, if you said that would definitely be a turnoff for your community.
And I mean, I'm definitely known for my more radical ideas rather than right wing. So
yeah,
and I work with change makers, so it would not do good things.
You know, generally speaking, talking about politics, you know, I mentioned in Easing a few weeks ago that Trump was an idiot. And I probably shouldn't have done that. I really probably shouldn't have. But in my own defense, I also said I was an idiot about 5 times, just like our dear president. So, you know, I was said, no one knows anything right now. But nevertheless, not usually a good look is to go political in a business context. You know?
I have one. Although I break that all the
although
time.
there are dissenting opinions in that on that field. Some people said, "Oh yeah, go for it. We're all for you." You know. Okay, so how would you turn that around? Do something that was appropriate in that vein instead. Support Joe Biden?
No, I don't like him either.
You don't like him either. You don't have a lot of choice.
More like I have gone on Facebook and say I like others, I'm not coming up right away as something as outrageous around that I could do.
Well, I could suggest something. I mean, it doesn't always have to be outrageous, but you know, there's a lot of opinions on social media, right? Opinions and likes and dislikes and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, which really doesn't help anything, as opposed to useful creative ideas or things that you're doing to forward some issue that's really important in the world right now. You know,
Yeah.
I see a lot of great sharing like that on Facebook as well. That's really inspiring, wonderful stuff, you know? Why not inspire people instead of get into an argument, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I have been doing that, and then I've been on a poetry challenge lately with myself, and I did a humorous one because everybody's talking about conspiracy theories, and I actually think there's probably a lot of things going on which aren't great, but you can just go down a rabbit hole, and I've seen some of my clients do that. So I did one about the latest conspiracy theory being a conspiracy theory of all the introverts, and I did a poem of that. So that was kind of to put a bit of humor and sort of, like relax about it.
All of us introverts are conspiring to do what?
To have the pandemic. You planned it in a secret laboratory so that you could have an excuse to stay at home. Anyway, it's said more poetically, but
that's perfect.
It has as much sense as some of the conspiracy theories that are already out there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, let's.
I have one.
One or two more. So Gail Simpson.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Let me preface this by saying I have watched you for many moons, many moons. This is the first opportunity I've had to join an activity of yours.
Oh, great. I'm so sorry.
Me too. Interesting conversations. I'm in the travel industry, and so my number 4, write down a thing you could do to have clients completely ignore you. If I spammed everybody, all my client list, about all the negative things in the industry now, particularly about cruising, I would lose them all. And so to turn that around, I've started to do some virtual travel videos to talk about the positivity of sailing on a cruise ship or a river boat, or just taking a plane somewhere or doing a cross-country drive. To kind of get people interested in travel again. So once the market comes back, people will be ready to do something.
Yeah, good idea. In a book I'm reading right now, she talked about her love of traveling on trains.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're little, you know, you don't have to show up so far ahead of time. They don't check your bags. You can see the scenery, you know. Anyway, that's just off the top of my head. Yeah, you know, and a lot of people right now will have a lot of time to think about and plan a vacation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good time I'm already starting to think about a vacation. I have a client or someone I talked to the other week in Barcelona, so I'm thinking Barcelona is in my future, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay, We have time for one more, and then we're going to start interviewing our guests. Who
I
else
have one, Robert. That's to call your contact up and speak in a foreign language, actually, so they don't understand you, and you could even try to sell them a telephone or something, you know.
Yes. Well, you know, something that I say about marketing is 100% communication. And either you're communicating value or you're not communicating value. And what we often tend to do, which relates to what you're saying, is we tend to confuse people in our marketing. You know, I was looking at somebody's webpage the other day and I said, I have no idea what you are trying to do on this page. I am just confused and annoyed. You've got these pictures, you've got these captions, you're trying to get me to go somewhere here. I'm confused. So the opposite of that, of course, is clarity, value, simplicity, ease of use. You know what really bugs me right now? Because are you getting more emails than ever right now from every company on planet Earth? I'm getting more emails. I seem to be spending more time. Stop writing emails in tiny text. Jeez Louise, everybody does it. I don't understand.
Nobody can read it.
Nobody can read it. You notice the emails I send are formatted with large text. I use bolding, I use some color. It's really easy to read. It's a simple thing, just so you can read it. It's ease of use. You know, make it easy for you to interact with. You know, I look at Julie Walk's website, and it's really beautifully designed, and the text is nice, and you want to read it, you want to step into it. She talks about going out in nature and how nature can renew you. And I tell you, that website is just such a welcoming place. I don't know if you designed it, Julie, or you got a designer to work with you on it, but you know, sometimes you see that. I mean, look at your websites now and get some objective feedback. Is it easy to read? Does it make sense? Does it feel welcoming? Does it have good headlines that actually say something instead of welcome to my website? I mean, so many websites are so bad, and why not take a little time, if you got time in the next X number of months, to work on your website and give a website developer some work. I mean, they need work as well, and you know, you don't have to meet them in person. So, you know, ease of use, clear communication is, you know, that never gets old, I promise you. Okay, so, you know, my exercise for you here is I want to sort of put this little virus in your brain, not in your body, in your brain, of generating ideas by coming up with silly, bad ideas first. Because often it's easier to come up with a bad idea than magnify the bad idea and go, you know, how ridiculous that is. And you could get how ridiculous and bad it would be, and then flip it around and see how you could do something completely the opposite of that. And in most cases, that's not something you're doing right now that you could be doing, like improving your website, improving your emails, you know, all the other kinds of things that we talked about today. Something that will draw people in, that will make them feel good about you, that will feel that you're communicating to them clearly with value. You know, if nothing else, it doesn't have to be a breakthrough, clever, wowie zowie, amazing idea. Sure, some of those will come, but just clear, compassionate, authentic communication really goes a long way, in my experience. Sometimes I go outside of that. It's like I have to dial myself back. I'm a marketing guy after all. I sort of get into hype world a little too much. I got to be careful. Okay.
Hey, Robert?
Yes.
This is Chris. I'm sorry I don't have my picture up.
Yes.
If I might share a wonderful resource with the group.
Sure.
Some of you may be familiar with the design school at Stanford University.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the company IDEO, has certifications for design thinking and how to come up with innovative ideas. right now, you can take their primary course for free. It's a $200 course for the month of April.
Oh.
And it takes you through scenarios of like, you know, how would you solve this problem? How would you come up with fresh ways to looking at something? So it's it's on IDEO University. I think it's IDEO.com. It's wonderful. If you're like me, you really get hooked on that methodology. It feeds right into marketing.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so now it is time to introduce my esteemed guests. So first up is Rich Brooks. And Rich Brooks has a web design company and social media company. He works with all kinds of companies doing that. So why don't you unmute yourself there, Rich? Hi, Rich. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Robert. How you doing?
Doing great. So, you know, we see Rich's kitchen in the background. He's obviously working from home and running his multi-billion-dollar enterprise from a corner of his house. And I'd just like you to share some creative ideas you're implementing or what you're doing right now to go radically virtual, and you know how you're reaching out to clients. What are you doing?
Sure thing. Absolutely. Well, first of all, we are starting remote work was not so strange for us because we're used to working remotely. We like meeting with people in public or in face-to-face, but it doesn't always happen being a virtual company or being a remote company. So this seemed normal at first, but of course now we're finishing up our 5th week working remotely. It's definitely a different time. And we have a wide variety of different clients. So one of the things that I've done is I offered a free hour of consulting with me to all of our clients who've done business with us in the last 18 months or so. And from that, probably about 20 of our clients so far booked a time with me. And it's really just been kind of a spitballing, creative approach to their businesses. For me personally, it's been amazing because I'm getting to share ideas and hear ideas. Just to give you one example, one of the first calls I made was with a client who had been in the plumbing industry for years, but through a number of issues, had to relaunch her business and of course launches it, sinks all this money into it, and then the coronavirus hits. So she and her husband, who's a partner, are stuck at home. Well, what I suggested is why not do free virtual plumbing consulting for people who needed this. They still can go into people's homes, but people are leery of that. So she took the idea and ran with it. And within a few minutes, they actually had a call from their website and they videotaped the entire process of her husband walking this person through their home, fixing the problem. And the woman ended up not needing a plumber because they helped her with it. Now, of course, you may say, well, they didn't get the business. Yes, but from this, they got a customer for life for any bigger problems. She left him a 5-star review on Facebook. And that video is now going to be going up on their website, which then I told them the next thing to do is let the local press know about this. So this is a great way of generating a lot of visibility, generating a lot of goodwill, and building some loyalty with customers.
Right. I love that they didn't have to do anything special to create the video. They did it on Zoom. They recorded it on Zoom. There's the video, pow. And it's up on YouTube or Facebook, and immediately it's marketing materials.
Yes. And the other thing is, if you're not working in just one industry and you're working with clients, sometimes what worked is very obvious in one industry. You can take and repurpose for another industry, repackage it, and no one's doing it over there. So a lot of times, if you're seeing something work with one of your clients in one area, think about how you may be able to kind of pivot that idea a little bit and introduce it to a brand new audience somewhere else. Right now, the media is only writing about and talking about coronavirus. So think about what you or your clients are doing, how they're giving back, how they're pivoting, how they're making sure their employees are still working. Those are all the kind of stories that the media is eating up right now. So reach out to your local or industry-specific media and pitch those stories. And that's what we're doing. And that's what we're also doing or telling our clients to do, and in some cases doing for them.
Give me a little bit more on that, because, you know, despite being in business for 35 years, I've never done anything with the media. I think I have a media terror or something, God knows. But but look, they're looking for stories.
They are. I mean, they're
Right.
hurting right now. They can't go out and do their normal jobs. So in this case, if you're, you know, what I recommended to this woman, and you can just take this idea and run with it for your own business. I said, go onto your local paper's website, call up your go to the local TV website, radio websites, see which reporters are talking about how local businesses are pivoting and giving back. Those are already the journalists ready and primed to write on this subject. Hey, I saw you wrote about that great story about how this wallet company had pivoted and started manufacturing face masks and they're giving away at cost. That's fantastic. It inspired me. Here's what I'm doing locally. You know, the next thing you know is you're going to get an email from that journalist, not every time, obviously, but then they want to be talking to you. They're writing about you, they're increasing your visibility, and hopefully they're linking back to your website, which is a big search engine optimization benefit.
Yeah, and for the most part, we're not talking about connecting with the Wall Street Journal.
No, nice if you can do that, but I'm just usually thinking about local businesses or industry-specific business media.
Yeah, publications or local newspapers, that kind of thing. I mean, the plumber thing is such a great one because it's a local business. It's human interest. It has a certain sense of humor to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's engaging.
There's also an empowerment feeling for the woman that they helped, who maybe had never done anything with her plumbing before. And all of a sudden she's like, wow, I just fixed the water pressure in my house. And she feels good. And who is she going to think about every time she has that feeling of empowerment is Rocket Plumbing. You know, so it's just like, it's a great all around story.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a saying in the news, if it bleeds, it leads. But there's so much bleeding now. There's so much death. There's so much bad news that good news is a nice alternative. I mean, it gets old after a while. How many bodies are piling up here? We've heard all the terrible stories. So something like this is refreshing, and you never know. You know, some of those could literally go viral if the news, if a big publication gets a hold of it. So
we had a local company that makes wallets, and they pivoted, and Good Morning America came in and did a national story on them. It was fantastic. Little tiny company, and they got national attention because of that.
They make wallets.
They make wallets, among some other things as well. Now, this is a company that is small but smart. They've also partnered with LL Bean on the first ever LL Bean boot partnership. So it's not like they're not already savvy, but they're a small group of college students. They're no longer college students, but when they started off. And so it's really not about your size. It's about your creativity and your ability to leverage this through your website, through social media, and through earned media by reaching out to some journalists.
Now, did they reach out by phone, by email, by press release, all of them?
These guys are friends of mine, so it's not like I'm actually doing their marketing. I think that they know enough and they're savvy enough that they've been doing partnerships all along, so they've made some of these contacts. So that's probably why they got into Good Morning America. They may, for all I know, actually have a PR person either on retainer or as an employee at this point because they take it that seriously.
Do you have any suggestions for where someone could go online about tips on contacting the media for stuff like this?
Well, one thing that everybody can do is go to the website HARO, Help a Reporter Out. They also send out emails, I think it's 3 times a day. And so if you are like, got a little extra time on your hands, or you've got some employees with time on their hands, they can just scour HARO looking for journalists who are looking for ideas. But again, think about what you're doing right now, and is it newsworthy? And then who are the local journalists writing about it or getting on TV about it? I've been really lucky in the fact that years ago, I got a segment on the NBC affiliates here in Maine as their tech guru. So once a month, I get to come in and pitch a story, or they pitch it to me, and I do some research, and I get to go on TV. So I have some connections for my local. This is something that you should think about, not just for right now, but also you should be developing these relationships for the rest of your business career.
Right. Well, fantastic, Rich. Great ideas. Very inspiring. Good stories.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So good luck with you with the rest of the pandemic, the season of the pandemic. So the next person we're going to be interviewing is George Wong. Are you there, George?
Hey, Robert.
Hey, there he is. Hey, with a professional microphone, no less.
Yeah.
George is, he's someone that did my mastery course. I've known him for, I don't know. No, actually more than that. George used to be a plastic surgeon. And I helped him with his plastic surgeon brochure more than 20 years ago. And
in
it's pretty
98.
amazing, since you only look about 20 years old. I don't know what you do, man.
I did my facelift before I retired on myself with smoke and mirrors.
So, and then he went into the coaching business, and he's been doing coaching, and now he coaches doctors. Always, every time I talk to George, I know I'm going to hear some new idea, because he's always, hey, did you hear about this new thing? So I was talking to him the other day, and he says, hey, did you hear about this new thing? And he says, I'm working with this platform that it's a Zoom sort of competitor in a way, but they have a special kind of platform that's really amenable for taking very large conferences virtual. And I don't know if that fits for anybody here, but I thought you might find it interesting. So tell us a little bit about it, and maybe you could screen share and just show us a bit what it looks like.
Yeah. So one of the things people ought to know about me is I suffer from an incurable syndrome. It's called EDD. It stands for Entrepreneurial Deficit Disorder. So I can't help ideas flying out the door. And the problem is I can't act on all of them. So I need at least 1 million other lifetimes to deal with all those ideas. But
right, I can relate.
Right? Can you? Yeah. So, for the long time, I've been really interested in the customer experience. And this comes from my experience being a plastic surgeon, because we're focused on what's the patient experience from start to finish.
Right.
And so in the online world, I've been heavily interested in this over the years. And so I've pivoted my business. I do work with physicians, but now, Robert, I've pivoted, and I'm now helping entrepreneurs to convert, to really transform their online events. So they boost their signups and show ups and conversions to sales by turning their audiences from hyper distracted to hyper engaged. And one of the things you and I were talking about the other day, Robert, is this platform that I'm actually part of the team and soon to be an equity shareholder. I'll show it to you. It's called Remo. And what's different about it, let me give you the context, is that, say, on Zoom, like we're on now, it's hard to talk to different people. I mean, if we all talk at the same time, can't hear anybody, right? And yet you can do breakout rooms, but that's automated, and you can't really go pick and choose and leave the breakout room. It's just kind of unnatural. So I've been interested in, how do we bring humanity back to webinars even? Like for me, I'm really good at presenting live, but when webinars came around, it's like someone took away my superpowers. They put kryptonite in front of me, because it's two-dimensional. So I'm going to show you a platform that really transforms, and it's brought my superpowers back. But there's application for anybody who is interested in a really deep, authentic human connection. And I'll show you how this works in really like less than 5 minutes. So I'll show my screen. This is a platform called, again, Remo, R-E-M-O. And so I've taken you in, I've logged in, I've taken you into the floor. Think of this as a conference room, and you've got a bird's eye view of the floor plan. You're hanging from the chandelier, okay? So this, the conference room, this is one floor. We can have up to 8 floors, and we have 19 tables. We can have up to 100 people per floor, all right? And I'll turn on my camera. So that would be with my camera. We can have up to 6 people per table. And then you can move freely from table to table. These are people who never logged out. So if I wanted to move from Action Plan VIP's table to, say, the 4th table, I'll just double click, and then I'm there. And then I can see everybody's videos. If we had 6 people at the table, I'd see 6 videos in the tiles up here.
The videos would be bigger across the top?
They'd be across the top, but I make them bigger by going to what's called tile view.
Okay.
And I'd see 6 tiles. And then if I wanted to, sorry?
Just like Zoom, you'd have a tile.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everybody at the table can share their screens, and you have to pick what you're going to focus on. So if I wanted to make, say, this tile bigger, I'd just hit full screen, right? So then And we can also do a shared whiteboard if we want to doodle and draw. So, so this is conversation mode, and you can move from table to table, like I said, and floor to floor. And you can also chat. So we can chat with the entire building, 800 people. We can chat just with the people at this particular table, or I can chat with individuals, and I can do a search if I can't find them, if they're not at my table. But let me show you a different mode.
You could really do a whole in-depth workshop and breakout and conversation, and then they can come back and share with everybody, that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's how we do it. So let me show you how that would be done. So I'm going to go into, so this is conversation mode because we can speak freely with one another. I'm going to go into presentation mode. And if you were here, Robert, I'd bring you up on the stage with me, but we'll go into presentation mode. And so this is like the webinar that we're all used to. I can turn my camera on and off, of course. I can have up to 8 presenters in total, including myself. And if, Robert, you were here, you would have a tile next to me, and I would turn my camera and microphone off, and then it would be just you speaking, right?
Right.
And we can also share screens, just like before.
Yep.
And then we can also share a whiteboard. And I can actually put up a video.
And you'd be presenting to everybody on the whole program at that point, right?
Everybody on all 8 floors. If you have 8 floors, you don't have to have 8 floors, but if you have 8 floors, everybody will see the same video and same presentation.
Right.
Some people ask, well, what if you have multiple speaker tracks? We have a number of people who are virtualizing their live events. They've been canceled, of course, and they're turning them into virtual events. So they have multiple speaker tracks. Well, then you just create another building, and then you can have multiple buildings going on at the same time. So let me show you something real quick. I'll just pull a video down randomly off of YouTube, and I'm going to show you how I can present a video on YouTube, or from the screen here, from the stage. And let me just, I'm just going to copy a quick link here.
You got a white box in the middle there. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that's where
I think it's always about consistency.
Sorry.
Good footwork makes it.
I'm going to, yeah, I have a white box. I'm showing you, that's where I paste in the YouTube video. I'll paste it right here. It could also be Vimeo. And when I paste it, the video comes up. I can hide myself. And then I didn't hit the button, but I could have made this auto play for everybody in the audience. So if you were in the audience, this would auto play for you. It could be an entertaining video. It could be a educational video. And we could say, hey, here's a video on how to create your audio logo. Here are the principles. Okay, now that we've done that, let's all switch to conversation mode. And what I want you to do is pick a table mate, and you're going to share your audio logos with each other and see if it's a pass or a fail. And then we would move out of this mode into conversation mode, and then do the exercise, and we can flip back and forth.
Wow.
And then of course you have the typical chat, and then Q&A. In Q&A here we have, you can vote on the questions. So the questions with the highest number of votes comes to the top. So when you're presenting, you know which questions to answer first.
Wow. So what kind of companies are using this right now?
Oh, Robert, all kinds. We have companies from virtual or live event planning companies.
Yeah.
We have people who are, they are individuals who do webinars, or they do networking. We have companies who are doing networking events that used to be live, but now they're back. They were out of business for a bit, but now they're back in business, like even better than before, because they can do networking events locally, regionally, and nationally, and now internationally.
Wow.
Yeah. So this, for a lot of people, this has been a game changer. I've done a number of strategic sessions with people who their businesses were just stuck in the water. I show them how this platform could work for their particular business, and instantly they're back in business.
George, this is Liv Guthridge. Are you talking to the Democratic National Convention?
She should be.
Yeah, we could. Well, we have we have some really big, like Fortune 100 companies who are wanting to use this platform. That said, we're more interested in the small and medium sized businesses. So any business, or if you have a business where you need to really engage with people at a deep, authentic level, this platform, you can find a use for it. You don't have to have 100 people or 800 people. We use this platform sometimes for one-on-one meetings. And there is a sister to this called Remo Office that truly is a virtual office. But our interest in Remo Conference has literally skyrocketed. Our monthly recurring revenue has skyrocketed beyond expectation. and we're generating over 100 new trial users every day, more business than we can handle. So Robert, when you asked what people were doing, I'm one of the people, I'm busier than I was before coronavirus.
Yeah.
I've actually hired 2 executive assistants.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the follow-up to this, I'll send an email with a link to the recording for this webinar, but I'll also put the contact information for all the speakers. So I believe I know that what it is, but if you're not sure that I'm sure, send it to me immediately afterwards. Here's the contact information I want you to put on that email, okay? So do that as well. All right, George?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, fantastic. Wow. It's exciting, huh? Very exciting. You know, I have a friend who is a musician, and they've been doing Facebook Live concerts, not with this program, but, and now they have an international audience, whereas before it was just an LA audience. They're actually making more money now doing these live Facebook things than live gigs. And they're doing them in a garage with a curtain in the background. It's great. So going virtual, this is radically virtual, exactly what we're talking about
Robert, we're going to be testing a interactive virtual concert 2 Saturdays from now.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know people are doing it on YouTube and Zoom and so forth, but this is interactive where the audience can actually talk to one another, and then the musicians can come out into the audience and interact with the audience.
Wow. Okay, I want to buy stock in this company.
You bet. Yeah.
Is this affordable for like a single practitioner?
Absolutely. Yeah. There we have different ranges. The lowest tier is $50 a month. Our popular tier is $150 a month, and we have an unlimited tier, somewhat unlimited tier at $950 a month. The sweet spot is $150 a month. You should talk to me. If you're not sure how to use it, get in touch with me. You should be able to generate more than enough to cover $150 a month for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, this is great.
Well, I really like the idea of using that platform instead of Zoom if you really want to do an in-depth workshop where you have the conversations and the interaction and all that stuff. Okay, so we've got to move on. So Julie, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
I know we've waited a long time for you, but we're saving the best for last, right?
Right, exactly.
So Julie, tell us a little bit about your business. And, you know, I know just last week you did a video on ideas for going virtual and a whole bunch of things. So you're absolutely up to your neck in this as well. And I'd like to share, you know, what you're doing and some of your ideas around this.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's nice to see everyone. My name's Julie, and I'm a business coach also, and I work to help mostly women, coaches, consultants, healers, service-based practitioners, the hardworking, high-achieving types, help them to transform a business that drains them into a business that sustains them. And so I'm just a huge stand for stepping off the insane productivity hamster wheel that is Western society and slowing down, ideally doing that in nature, if at all possible, so that we can get aligned and get clear on like what's actually true for us, where we actually want to go, what we actually want to do. And then from there, design a business model and a strategy that's going to support our lives instead of sucking us dry, which, you know, businesses, especially kind of solopreneur type businesses, do have the tendency to do. So that's a little bit about my work, and I mostly facilitate groups and do a little bit of private coaching. But I have a mastermind called Nourished, which is aimed at those people that I just spoke of.
Right.
So yeah, and I have a lot of thoughts about what's happening right now. I think, you know, what I'll speak about is related to what this call was about, with brainstorming and offers and, you know, what do I offer now? Because I'm getting a lot of questions from my clients about, should I do what I was doing, or should I design a new offer, or and how do I move forward, like, and then how do I message it, right? Because things have changed, obviously. So I'll speak to that for a minute,
Great.
and
Great.
happy to answer any other questions. And so, I love your idea of just brainstorming, thinking of a whole bunch of ideas. And to me, the next step there is, okay, so you have all these ideas. How do you actually make the decision about what's the right path forward? And I will say, even before I get into that, I've been sharing with people that the word pivot to me implies this kind of like 180-degree turn. And there are some people like the plumber who Rich spoke about. That's kind of, they had to kind of do a 180-degree pivot in some ways, because to go totally online, that's a pretty big move. A lot of people, if you don't have to make a huge pivot, what I'm advocating instead is a reframe or a tweaking or a restructuring of what you already have. And the reason for that is, one, because it's less work. And two, because you already know your people, you already know your business, you have your gifts, you have your purpose. And so in my opinion, it's like, stick with that as much as possible, and then make the adjustments needed to serve in a new way at this time. If you have the energy and excitement to do a big pivot or start a new business, more power to you. That's great. For me personally, I have a toddler, and I have a chronic illness, and I'm the breadwinner in our family. So for me, it's like, what's the simplest path forward? And that's the same for a lot of my clients. So that's how I'll preface this. And then once you have a big list of ideas, there are 4 questions that I'm having people ask to kind of filter and evaluate those ideas. So the first question, I'll just go through these 4 questions really quick, and you can write them down. The first one is, what do your clients need the most, or your potential clients need the most? And that's always basically the first question you ask in business, always, right? Nothing new there. But people have different problems right now, or slightly different problems than they did a month ago, right? And so, or more than a month ago now. And so, while their underlying core issues are probably remain the same, there's something else that's come up for them, right? And so you need to be tuned into what your people are experiencing now, not what they were experiencing a month or so ago, and adjust to that. So the question is, like, in talking to your clients, doing a little market research, seeing just what's out there, what are you feeling they need, just from your own, observations and intuitions. But checking that with actual people too. What do they need the most right now? Okay. That's in your wheelhouse. So that's kind of the first question. What's the most needed? The second question is, what is the most profitable? Right? What's going to actually earn you money right now? Because if that's the primary goal, right? If you can lay low now for a little bit, and then great. If you need to be earning money right now, then you want to look at profitability, right? And so the trap that I see people falling into is offering a little bit too much for free and overextending themselves. Offering free stuff is awesome, but you don't want to overextend and just only offer free stuff. And you also don't want to only offer a one-off thing that costs $30 a whole bunch of times, because that's just a whole lot of work to market to the point where you have enough, where it generates enough income, right? So you don't want to bail on that longer term program that you might have developed or are thinking about developing. You might have to make some adjustments to that. Maybe you want to make a little shorter commitment, but just doing really short things, that's not going to be the most bang for the buck, right? The other question to ask is ease, right? How easy is this for me to do? Is this going to be a start from scratch, build out a whole new huge thing? Or is this going to be taking that program you ran last year live and offering the recordings with some Q&A calls at a lower price point or something like that, right? Is it something you can reuse or use and adjust a little bit and just do it again? In the ideal world, you're just doing what you always do with some little structural adjustments maybe, or maybe not at all. You might just need to re-message it, right? You might not need to change a thing. You might just need to say, I get where you're at right now. I feel your pain. I hear this is what's happening for you. And I've got this thing that, it always helped, but it's going to help you even more now, right? To address those new problems that you have. Right. So that's going to be the case for a lot of people. Their underlying problems are the same, but you have to meet them in a different place. So the third one was, how easy is it for you to do? Do you have to start from scratch, or can you restructure something? And then the fourth question, once you've got all that, is what's actually juiciest for you? Like, what feels the most exciting and aligned and purposeful for you? Because you don't want to just do something because it's low hanging fruit and you know you can get some clients doing it. It's if you're not excited about it, because you're not going to be excited to promote it, you're not going to be excited to do it. It probably won't be as successful just because you're not into it. So you got to also enjoy what you're doing, right? And that's an important piece, even in this challenging moment, to be doing work that we love, and that also sets us up in the long term to continue down the path that we were headed. And none of us know what the heck is going to happen over the next months and years. But I know for me, I still have a vision, a sense of where I want to go. So I want to be doing things right now that, even if they're different from what I planned in January, that they're still moving me in the direction of the life I want to live and the vision I have, and the goals that I have. So those are my 4 questions that I've been asking, and they came up right around Passover time, and I'm Jewish, so it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, the 4 questions, but they're the 4 business questions. Anyways, for the Jews on here will find that funny. So the thing is, I'm not one for like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like, I think it's good to generate ideas, but I also think it's good to filter them through and be thoughtful about what you put out there, and check in with coaches, mentors, colleagues, clients. Like, is this a good idea? Right? So that we're not wasting a whole lot of energy putting stuff out there. And also, when you put a bunch of things out in a row, you can start confusing your clients too. So better to be, and your potential clients, better to just be thoughtful. And, my motto is just slow down. Right now, slow down and serve. How can you be really intentional about this, even though we really have no idea? Like, I put something out there a couple weeks ago and I decided to cancel it. I was like, you know what? It's not catching on enough. It's not happening. And I just pulled it. And I felt okay about that, and I think we just have to be willing to experiment and fail right now, and not put judgment around, the quote unquote failure, and really just be dynamic and be willing to drop the perfectionism and just run the beta. Another thing I always teach and talk about is run the beta program. Like, just do it, do the practice round, and let people know, so that they can, that you're kind of off the hook for it being perfect, right? And so right now it's even more important. I'm calling it the super beta mode. Just like really go for it. Don't worry if it's not perfect. And I'm finding that people are more forgiving right now. Everybody's feeling raw from this. Everybody's feeling vulnerable. Everybody's feeling a little freaked out. Not everybody, but there's a lot of that in the field. And so when you put something out there that's imperfect, but you're trying to help, people are going to appreciate that. They're not going to be critiquing whether your website looks perfect. They're really not. It's really about the offering. And so, get over the part of yourself like, oh, I can't do it unless it's perfect. Like, screw that. People need you. Put it out there. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Do your super beta. And and if it doesn't work, don't take it personally. Like, just say, okay, great, that didn't work these times. We're not really sure what works right now. Okay, so I'm going to try a couple things. If you've got an email community, ask them. I'm about to send email to my list. Like, hey, what do you need the most right now? Would this work better or that work better?
Absolutely.
Give them a couple ideas. So, yeah.
It's a lot of great ideas, Julie. Very, very good. Good little model. You wouldn't have to happen to have a page with that model on it, would you, somewhere?
I just wrote it came up in a client conversation last week, and I just wrote a blog post on it, but it's not published yet. But you know what? I made a little, I wonder if this will show up. I made a little graphic, a really rudimentary.
You could send me the link to that when you have it.
I will do that. It'll
Okay.
be like in a week or so, but I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Great. Very good. So everyone, thank you so much, Julie, George, and Rich for being my guests. Really good, relevant stuff for sure. And that's pretty much it for today. This is how we do it. We get into something that's important, something that I'm passionate about. We we interview a few people that are talking about something relevant for self-employed professionals. And we have another one planned for May the 1st. So put it on your calendar now. And I won't start promoting it for a week or so. I don't know who my panelists are. I need a producer now to start finding panelists and stuff, but I'm starting to think of people already who would be good people for this. Everyone is a little bit different, and hopefully you'll always get some new value from this. So that's it. Thank you everybody so much for attending, and we'll see you the next time. So I'm going to unmute you all so you can all say goodbye.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Robert, thank you.
Take care. Awesome. Very, very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, thanks.
Stay safe, stay connected.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Aloha.
Bye, Robert. I'm sending you a note.
Okay, thank you.